Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we have some pretty epic matches here that I was playing with in just friendly matches, but there's some crazy stuff you can do in here. I got in here with my ult and was trying to just see how much I could make the matches really crazy and just sort of see how the game would react and see how things would handle. And I actually kind of almost messed up my iPad doing this. I almost crashed the game pretty badly, but my iPad was like literally overheating. I think it's the CPU, I think it's the processor literally can't handle some of these matches, because on my phone it was working fine, but on my iPad it was lagging really hard. And my iPad has much older hardware than my phone, so what I normally play on is an iPad mini 4, and my phone is much newer than that. So, as I discovered, it can get pretty intense here. This game doesn't look like it would be super intense to play, but when you start getting a ton of stuff out there, it can get pretty crazy. So, yeah, I just went in here and I had multiple decks. I tried several different strategies in this video. This one right here, I was going for, high health troops, and I was just going in there with Metamorph. But you can see my ult, unfortunately, it does have Metamorph and it does have Necromancer, but it does not have Valkyrie, and I put Valkyrie in on my main. And you can see here in a number of these matches, just quite literally the power of the Valkyrie and how much of a difference the Valk makes. I mean, these are slightly different decks I was running, and of course my main also has the Dragon, but just the Valkyrie really makes a huge difference. Just in terms of what I can play. I was trying to give my ult a chance to actually catch up in this match, because otherwise you can see how many cards I just have ready on my main to play. So that kind of made a big difference here. But I really like the Necromancer battles with skeletons, so I was trying to kind of just see what it would look like without skeletons. Just sort of like with single high health troops being put in. Especially the Storm Elemental is really cool, because it just sort of keeps coming back and keeps coming back. So eventually what basically happened is that my main started to overwhelm my ult in a lot of these matches. I think, again, because of the Valkyrie, because of the Dragon. Those are big advantages. And you can see here, starting to push through that stack. It was interesting, though, because my ult had the Executioner, but that was not enough. And unfortunately here, this is going to be the end of that match. But pretty cool. So again, I decided to hop back in here and try again. The match from the thumbnail is a little bit later in the video. I first kind of started out here with just more of some different styles of Necromancer battles here. This one I was trying to do a multi-lane Necromancer battle. And I'm still kind of working with and trying to perfect what the strategy is, because it's a little bit tricky to play on two devices at the same time. It's just difficult to kind of manage the strategy. So some of the matches I decided to kind of just metamorph certain cards at first, and then kind of start it. And this one was cool just because I had two lanes that each side had at least two Necromancers on them. I wasn't able to really get the third side set up, unfortunately. It was just kind of taking too long. And I didn't have any more Metamorphs in my hand at that moment, so I decided to just get the Skeletons going. And once I got the Skeletons going, there wasn't really a chance to get the top lane involved with the Necromancer as much, so I kind of just focused on the two other lanes. But as you can see, it was a pretty epic battle, the way things were evolving here. And especially as I got more and more stuff out here, this one got pretty epic. Though once again, my main kind of got the advantage because, again, it has the Dragon and it has the Valkyrie. And those are pretty big edges over my ult account. Though my ult has quite a few cards. I was impressed looking at it again, how many cards it does have. That's a pretty good number. But for the purpose of this match, this fun match here, it was kind of outclassed by the Dragon and Valkyrie, just in terms of how much I could get out there. And you can see it's my ult starting to get overwhelmed here. Just unable to keep up as much. I think the skeletons were helping just because they were kind of delaying the melee cards, but... yeah, and I actually had done some damage to my main, though, probably through the top lane, just because that was a little bit unbalanced at points, but... still holding that middle lane, which was impressive. I think it's because there was no dragon there. I think the real difference was that once the dragon came in, my main was able to kind of break through my ult because the skeletons didn't matter as much, whereas otherwise the skeletons were just like really delaying their melee cards. So pretty interesting match once again here. This is the match, or is it the match? I don't know. This is the match, I believe, from the thumbnail here, where I decided to try and do a skeleton match. Now, I was having trouble getting the same sort of results that I gotten from double speed mana. I thought maybe I might be able to do a giant spectre again here, and I was, but more through giant growths rather than the sheer number of skeletons. Because the thing with the skeletons is that in double mana speed, I could actually get more skeletons out throughout the course of a match than I could in this style of game mode. It's unfortunate you can't run the special game modes in friendly matches. It's kind of unfortunate, but maybe they thought if you could do that, no one would play the special game modes. So maybe that's why you can't do it. Yeah, so just a crazy match forming up here now, and I was basically pushing the Dark Angel on the right side against a Spectre stack on the left side. And this wasn't entirely intentional, but it's kind of the way it worked out, and it's actually pretty cool. Although the Spectre was getting way larger, partly because it started larger, and also partly because the Dark Angel kept dying, so it wasn't really having a bunch of time. Even though it gets revived by the Necromancer, it wasn't having a ton of time to actually build up from the skeletons, because it kept having to sort of fly back to where the skeletons were to keep going. So honestly, the Spectre was making a lot more progress just from the giant growths I was putting on it, but this was still pretty awesome. Just the number of skeletons that ended up in here. Unfortunately, as the match got to a certain point, though, the left side, which was my main account, the iPad started lagging so much I couldn't actually play cards anymore. So you'll probably notice a point where that happens. It hadn't happened quite yet, but eventually it does. And again here, the Spectre just getting close to the top of the screen. Am I actually still playing? I am still playing cards. And yeah, you can see the Spectre getting pretty gigantic on the left side. Even the Dark Angel on the right side, despite the time it's losing, I was still getting pretty big because I was putting giant growths on that as well. I think you can see the lag there because of the amount of time it took me to play that giant growth on the Spectre. It was just getting really laggy, but this was still such an epic match, and you know, I'm thinking in the future for double mana speed, I'm gonna probably just try and see if I can beat my record on my phone, because it could actually sort of run the match without crashing. So I'll see if maybe I can try to beat my Spectre record on my phone, since it seems to handle the matches better. But this match was still just super epic, and I don't know, it kind of got me back in the mood of like wanting to do epic friendly matches again, because those can still be pretty cool to watch, and I thought this one was really cool to watch as well, just to see, you know, which is going to win here, the Dark Angel stack or the Spectre one. And obviously I think the Spectre one would probably win just because of the super large Spectre, but it's still kind of an interesting showdown. Unfortunately, though, this match ends up ending just in overtime because there's no way for these stacks to really break through each other. A lot of the other stacks you saw where I actually like lost the match pretty quick were within like the overtime. It was because of the dragon mostly. Since these are all melee cards, the number of skeletons being put out there, they'll never break through them. Like, they're not going to break through them because there's simply too many skeletons. It would take literally forever, and as you can see, they're just stuck in the middle. This is like an infinite, I don't know what you'd call it, like sort of an infinite loop, like battle here because there's no way for either side to ever like really break through with the cards that I'm actually playing out there. So yeah, just kind of an infinite battle, but still pretty funny to watch, just the number of skeletons, because they start all coming out in this long line, as you can see. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why that's the way they're coming back, but it's pretty crazy to watch. And this isn't even that many skeletons. This is just as many as my iPad could handle. And I've had a lot more in matches before, but yeah, pretty wild stuff though, I thought personally. And that was definitely a fun match to play and kind of got me back in the groove of wanting to do more friendly matches. So you guys should let me know in the comments if there are any other things I should experiment with in friendly matches, since I have an alt account that I can do these with, and it has some legendaries. So this match I decided to experiment with metamorphing the Valkyrie on my alt before I began the sort of battle, just to make sure my alt would have Valkyries. But it still didn't really end up working that well because I should have metamorphed maybe the dragon too. Like, you'd think the metamorph would just sort of pick up some of those cards as it went along, but I don't know. Having the Valk and the dragon on my main was just kind of too big of an advantage, and these matches were definitely interesting, but yeah, it was interesting how it ended up working out. But it is pretty epic though, still, just the way these battles kind of unfold. But the dragon is just so powerful, especially its area of effect damage. When all the troops get so close together like this, the dragon is just very powerful at pushing them back with its AoE damage. Especially when there's a big group of them together like that, it's just they all get kind of like pushed back pretty hard. And then with the Valk as well, I think my main just had a little bit more AoE power than my ult did, but actually it was still a pretty good fight here for a while. As you can see, I was trying to set this up through the first couple matches, and I finally got it to kind of work right here because I had the Valkyrie on my ult with the metamorph. But now you can see my main is starting to push through, starting to get things to go, and they're making a bit of progress. It's still a pretty tight battle here though. And my favorite part about this was just the storm elementals, because they continue to get larger despite getting, resurrected. They just continue to get larger and larger. So I was almost kind of disappointed I didn't go for like a giant growth with the storm elemental, because that would have been kind of like a cool back and forth battle with the necromancers too. So I might try that at some point in the future. But yeah, unfortunately, eventually it did break through what my ult had going, and that was basically pretty much the end of this. I was just trying to see how many troops I could sort of get on the left side of the board at this point. Just trying to see how many I could get out there, and I did manage to still get a pretty epic stack going here. Anyways, though, that is going to basically wrap up this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing some friendly matches, and I'll probably do some more of these again soon, because they are pretty much one of the only ways to get certain types of matches. I mean, otherwise I just can't really get in certain types of matches without playing like thousands of matches and waiting for my opponent to finally be cooperative with certain strategies. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of cool to go into friendly matches and just like test how the game works and how certain things happen. So look at all those storm elementals there, still pretty cool. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel for more content. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.